Okay, I think it's recording. Oh, go back. Okay, 1 second. Great way to start this. Um, okay, I'll let it load. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Macy Klein, and I'll just introduce myself a little bit first because this is an online course and no one really knows who I am. But I'm Macy Klein. I'm a junior at USD this year. I'll be student teaching next year. So this is good practice for me for teaching, but I'm going to present the lesson plan I did for lesson plan 2, and I hope this is sharing. I don't really know how to use, I'm recording on Zoom. I don't really know how to use it, but I hope this is sharing. In front of you is not the slideshow I would use in class. It's more of a slideshow I'm using just for this presentation. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So it says organisms by Macy Klein. That's very broad topic for what I'm talking about, but this is just the opening. Um, so the main topic of my lesson is resource availability, and this is based in middle school. I would honestly do this for sixth, maybe seventh grade. I would probably add a little bit more if I did it for seventh grade, but for sure sixth grade, this would be a good lesson on resource availability for them, I think anyway. So let's just go through my standard. It's a middle school standard. Analyze and interpret data to provide evidence for the effects of resource availability on organisms and populations of organisms in an ecosystem. My main goal for this lesson was just to have students simply research an organism to see what they need to survive and then relate that to how that works for them in the long run. So they can see how, basically, like how the food chain works, like how they don't run out of food is what I kind of wanted them to get. So I relate it in different ways, and you'll see that later. But for content objectives, the student will be able to research data on resource availability for a specific organism. So each student will only have one organism. They're actually in groups of two to make it a little more um, group friendly, get more movement around in the classroom. And then again, the student will be able to create a graph on resource availability for a specific organism. And this graph word I use isn't quite exactly what I mean. I mainly mean like visual or like some sort of representation of what the organism needs to live. Not exactly like specifically like, oh, you have to have a graph of like where this goes, what they do with this. Nothing crazy like that. I feel like that was probably not the best word to use for that. For language objectives, I have the student will be able to read the data in order to use it for the presentation, and the student will be able to explain the evidence found in their research. So moving on. Okay, so I just have some key vocabulary for all the students. And this cute little picture, which I worry when I use pictures like this. Well, this isn't the lesson plan, but when I use pictures like this, 'cause, like, we're not talking about population and communities, but it's cute, it works, it adds something to look at. The vocabulary, I won't read the definitions because I'm sure you guys can read those, but I'll just read the words. I kept it pretty simple with vocabulary. I don't want them to have too much new vocabulary in this lesson because that's not our main focus for it. But the vocabulary words I did use are analyze, organism, resource, ecosystem. I think that's all of them. Yes, and this will just make sure they know exactly what they're looking at. Like an organism, like they know they will be looking at one animal, one plant, something like that. And a resource, so they know that they're not looking for like random things, like they're looking for actually what they use to live, not like, I don't even know, like a bird, like obviously has wings to fly, but that's not what we're really talking about here, if that makes more sense. This is a cute little slide I did for what we need. This is like a visual, very visual presentation, or it can be oral. I gave students that option. I put computers or books. I know a lot of schools now have like iPads, Chromebooks, stuff like that. But if your school doesn't, or if you would rather, you can always pop open a textbook go to the library and get books that way, which could be more engaging for students than them being on their Chromebooks because you don't ever actually know what they're actually doing on them. Printer paper, scratch paper, whatever the students want to use. And then coloring utensils so they can make it fun, draw pictures, or just write in fun colors, whatever they want. It's the kids' world, you know? Okay, so I provided my Weta Can-Dos. I'm gonna have to come out of here for that. Okay. I think it's up here anyway. Okay. Oh, this is a mess. Sorry. My Weta Can-Dos are a little, um, I wouldn't say not correct, but I would say they aren't tip-top shape. Again, I'm a junior. This is actually the first time I made, besides our first lesson plan, it's the first time I made a Weta Can-Do chart, so be easy on me. So for listening, the main thing was listening to their classmate present and taking that information to figure out, I guess I haven't really explained the lesson yet, I do that at the end, but, to figure out what each animal needs. They're listening to their peers about that. So you can see here, I talk about that. It's the differentiation is a little different for I think what my original goal was. I think I lost sight of it a little bit, but I mainly focused on them knowing where possibly the animal could be on the food chain, or them knowing what needs each animal needs. I figured that would make it show that they're listening to their peers. Like if they can tell me what their peers are talking about and stuff like that, that shows me they're listening. Because these presentations aren't like crazy big. Like I'm having the students again, I should have explained this at the beginning. I'm having the students present their animal and like the main things it needs, whatever they found in their research. So that's listening for speaking. So the presentation can be oral, it can be visual. For the considerations, I think I said that's also at the end. I really should have flipped this around. Um, but the students can draw their pictures or they can just write it down. They can, if they have their Chromebooks, they can type it out. Like I'm very flexible with how these students are presenting this information. Because honestly, what works for them should work for me as a teacher. I gotta be flexible. Um, so this one is using visuals, using the word bank, which is like those. I have sentence starters also with my considerations. This is with a partner. Then it's just orally presenting. Reading. The student will match the needs to the animal after they read it. Um, the student will find needs provided in the word bank that go with their animal. So will write the needs of the animal by using the reading, like that they read, like if they need to reference it, or the word bank if needed. I'm not gonna limit them and say they can't use it. Um, and then for level 5, I just said had them make sure they read where on the food chain the animal would go because that is a little bit of higher up reading. It can get confusing when it's talking about other organisms. The student could get a little, I don't know, it could get everywhere. So I added that for level 5. For writing, so this is also very per student, even students that aren't using the Weta Can Do chart. First, I said drawing for both the first two visuals. Um, write the needs of the animal using the word bank. So pretty much like writing down what is on the word bank for your animal. Um, the student will write what they will say when presenting and then a script. Like with their partner, they'll work on and they'll write what they're going to say when they go up in front of the class. I figured that works best. I I hope it works best. Where are we at? Weta Can-Dos, we're on this one. How do animals not run out of food? Okay, the load. Sorry. Okay, so this is our whole premise of this. I should have flipped this with my Weta Can-Dos, but it's done. Um, so the whole thing is I want to open up the class saying, "How do animals not run out of food?" Because I don't know, I think it's such an interesting question for kids because honestly, when you think about it, how do animals not run out of food? Like, it's a question that really gets a discussion going, gets students thinking. So my first step, I kinda chunked up my lesson with these 3 little things, but it'll make more sense. Um, so the first step is to further the students' thinking. You ask them questions. You ask them, "Well, do animals have infinite food always available to them?" And then, I had this idea, like, you think they probably see their mom, like, making a grocery list or when they go to the grocery store. Um, this is pretty much a grocery list for their animal of choice. So in the way the animals go is, I would give each group an animal, and I would already have the, animals listed out and where they should be on the food chain. Um, but I'm getting ahead of myself. For the research, we're doing very simple Google searches. This is nothing, I'm not asking for anything scholarly. I'm not asking for anything like you don't have to go to a library database for these questions. I just want the students to ask questions they want to know. Like, what does an elephant eat? Where do birds get their fruit from? And these are questions that I'd probably put up on the board for the students so they know like kind of what they should be searching. It just gives them a good reference because I mean sometimes it's hard to know where to start, especially when you're a sixth grader. Like sometimes it's just hard. For the presentations, like I said, students can present however they want, and it would go. So the first students that would present would just get in line by themselves. There's no one else. Um, the next group would present, and then everyone would look at the group before, and as a class, we will decide where they should be standing after them or before them. And each person's going to get into line based on where they should be on the food chain and based on these resources that they need. Like if I am an animal that needs a plant, I would be after the plant. Does that makes more sense? So yeah, use the grocery list to line up in food chain order. Okay, my considerations. This did not come from my lesson plan. It actually came from my outline, and I thought it was something that was very important to add. So I'm gonna add it. So like I just said, finding websites where the information provided to the student is understandable is important. Like you're not gonna throw a kid out there, have them do a Google search that they can't even read. That's why I also was like, oh, partners would probably help because anything that can help students be more independent, but I know students would rather work with each other than have the teacher sit right next to them and have to do it. I mean, everyone gets it. Everyone was in middle school once. Um, and then this is also with the grocery list. The list can be drawn, written, or just spoken, whatever the student is most comfortable with. I think this type of differentiation is easier when you're in the classroom. And I've been saying that to myself all semester. How sometimes it's difficult to me for me when I don't know what level the students that would be in my hypothetical classroom are or like anything like that, what they are able to do. And I know when you're in the actual classroom, it's a little bit easier to know what they're able to do because you actually know the students. So this is just me like trying to give everything that would work. I'm not sure. Also a big thing would be if you have a student that's obsessed with elephants or something, give them that organism because nothing makes a kid's day more than them being able to talk about something they're passionate with. It makes it so much easier for them to tell the class. And honestly, a kid that's obsessed with elephants could teach the class a lot more about elephants than I ever could, probably. I mean, it's just how it is. And it's why make it, and they're still going to listen to all their other peers. And especially if it's an ELL student, if this is an animal they're already pretty familiar with, that can make the assignment so much more bearable for them and not as scary and I don't know, so big. Um, oh, and then obviously I've said this a couple times, but it's a big part of this lesson is giving student the option of presenting by just showing their pictures. Oh, excuse me. Or them typing it out on the board for the class is another way they can do it. I honestly my whole goal for my classroom in the future is for all my students to be comfortable. And if they're not comfortable, I won't be comfortable because then no one's learning. I won't know what's going on. They won't know what's going on, and it would be a whole mess. Um, and this also includes my sentence starters that I included here. I should have talked about that on that one slide, but it's okay. I'm talking about it now. Um, and I thought these would be good for when students are presenting to write on like a whiteboard and have almost like if your whiteboard's at the front of your class, could have the students present at the back of the class, have students turn around, make it something fun for them. Students love to move around. Um, so then you can write like on the back, like my organism is dot dot dot. This is what my organism needs, dot dot dot. So the students have those visuals, those sentence starters, and they can still look at the class, but still are looking at the whiteboard to get their help. Okay, that is my last slide. Um, I'm going to hold on. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at Zoom. I don't know if I'm supposed to be. Let's do this. Okay, that should have worked. Hopefully, I'm not sharing anymore, but I also am not sure. Oh, oh, my whole Chrome got bugged up. Okay, but that is all for my lesson. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Um, Thank you guys for watching my presentation, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the semester, great summer, great life. Thank you guys.